Am I the asshole for asking my parents for 2 months' notice to visit me? I, 27F, am moving back to Boston to attend law school beginning in August. I previously lived in Boston when I attended my last graduate program. I worked 2 jobs while in that program and had a crazy schedule, so my family typically planned 1 weekend in the summer per year to spend together in Boston, where they'd come down from upstate NY to see me. I'd travel home for the major holidays, Christmas, Easter and Thanksgiving, and usually either a birthday or a Father's Day to celebrate my parents at least once per year. I liked this arrangement. We would plan the trips far in advance. I'd be able to plan my family obligations with work and then would know how much time I'd have to plan my own social trips to see friends or take vacations. My mom, 66F, and I were talking about my impending move back to the city, and the topic of visiting me got brought up. I told her that this would be an even harder schedule, especially in my first year in the law program. For those that don't know, your first year of law school, 1L, is notoriously rigorous. I am attending part-time in the evenings, meaning I'll still work a normal full-time job during the day, but will need to juggle going to class at night and the rather impossible homework workload. Plus, I'm serious about trying to do mock trial or law review so that I can build some hard skills. They know all of this. I told my mom that I'd be happy for them to visit, but I'd need the visits to be planned in advance like we did when I was in my first grad program. She said okay, and I said I was thinking like at least 2 months in advance. She then said that was a ridiculous amount of notice and that it was strange that I thought it was normal to want 2 months advance notice of planning. I told her that historically when they visited, I've hosted them at my house, cooked for them, and planned all of our activities down to getting restaurant reservations. I'd want some time to prep. I'd also need to make sure my schoolwork got done ahead of it and that I had the PTO from work. She told me she thought 2 weeks would be fair notice, and I held firm that I would want a couple months. She seemed to think I was being absolutely unrealistic and almost affronted that I would ask that of her. Further context: my mom is retired, my dad, 65M, works at a local college in an admin job. Brother, 33M, and sister-in-law, 34F, typically attend these trips too and both work full-time jobs. My understanding is they like planning trips at least 1-2 months ahead too, but I haven't talked to them about this instance. Edit. Typos. Update. Thank you everyone for your thoughtful responses. I ended up going back to my mom and asking to talk it through more. She told me she felt like I was telling her that I didn't want to spend time with them. I emphasized that I want them to come see me but that I'm really worried about my workload and how I'm going to manage 1L. I told her that it's possible after 1L that I might feel more in control, like I'll have had some practice under my belt. I emphasized that I love them and will definitely do my best to prioritize them, but that I needed them to be flexible with me too. I told her that law school requires sacrifice of me and that unfortunately will mean some sacrifice of the people in my life too. I think the convo went really well and we landed in the same place. We will be trying to plan in advance and I'm going to try not to put too much stress on myself with the planning. We decided that we would aim to do her birthday every summer in Boston, so that we have a set date, time to look forward to, and I get to shower my mama with some love. Not the asshole if you was unavailable, she would be complaining. 2 months is enough notice, especially with all the work you have. Nah. I don't think any of you is entirely in the wrong or in the right, so I'm going with this. You have good reasons for wanting a lot of time to plan a good visit with your parents, but 2 months? It is a bit unrealistic. It's reasonable to want them to let you know in advance given your busy schedule, but they are your parents. You are not a planned vacation, you're their son. That's the difference. I think 1 month is within reason in this context. You do require time to make sure you can host them properly, I understand that, but I kinda want to see it from your mom's point of view as well. They now have more time to see you, specifically her, and she wants to take it, but she can't just appear anytime she wants because you're busy. So it's a difficult situation for everyone. Not the asshole. I think it's fair to give notice in advance. Especially when you're doing school and Word. I would have told my mom to not come at all if she had a problem with the advanced notice. Am I the asshole for refusing to continue paying rent when I buy my own house? My boyfriend, 31M, bought a house this year, which is an unprecedented achievement in our country. He earns 5-6 times more than I, 27F, do, and we usually split everything in half. Lately, I've been calling attention to the fact that I'm supporting more expenses, but I gave him a discount since he was going to buy a house. Recently he bought a house and has asked me to move in with him. However, he's also asked me to pay a symbolic rent, which is essentially the same amount I'm currently paying for rent elsewhere. Additionally, even though he's hired someone to clean the house, I know that I'll still be responsible for a lot of domestic tasks. At first, I suggested that I pay for all the utility bills such as electricity, gas, water, and internet, as well as food expenses, but he didn't agree and we had a disagreement about it. Eventually, I agreed with him that it would be simpler to pay a fixed amount instead of splitting the bills and creating any entropy. The discussion has become more intense because I mentioned that I will be able to buy a house by the end of the year. I explained that it wouldn't make sense for me to continue paying him rent if I have my own place. I suggested that we find a solution that works for both of us. However, he thinks he is being overly generous, and he says that I would still be benefiting by paying that amount. Since I've been with him, I've had very high expenses, and I've told him several times that I can't keep up with his lifestyle and that he should support some costs, at least half, because I currently don't have the capacity to handle both expenses. He works very hard to make real money, and from the start of our relationship, I have been the one taking care of the domestic chores, cooking for him, and helping out with grocery shopping. When we go out to eat, we split the bill, and I don't mind doing all this for him because he is amazing. He expressed gratitude for my efforts, but also stated his hope that I wasn't doing them expecting financial gain. He went on to share his vision for the future, stating his preference for separate accounts and everything being kept separate. He suggested that I live in his house by paying rent to assist him with his credit, but emphasized that the house would always remain his property. He also mentioned that even with children, he would like everything to be equally divided. I explained to him that I can't keep up with his lifestyle as I won't earn as much as he does. However, he became skeptical and hurt, implying that I'm only with him for his money and calling me an idiot for not understanding the situation, for not seeing things as they are. My friends have told me that he's taking advantage of me and that I'm just a convenience for him for now. I'm starting to wonder if they're right. Should we be more individualistic in our approach to finances, or should we work together to build a good life and acquire property? Am I the one being unreasonable here? Not the asshole, he is taking advantage of you. He is treating you like a live-in fuckmaid and on top of that expects you to pay for the privilege. Not the asshole, and you need to run far and run fast. This man, who makes 5 to 6 times as much as you, expects you to share equally in an investment where he reaps all the benefits. This is wholly unfair, and he is taking financial advantage of you. He is the one who doesn't understand the situation. You are together for a relationship, for the long haul. He is in it for a financial reward. Please don't let his double talk dissuade you from moving on and finding somebody who values you for your worth and not for how much you can contribute to their financial stability. So you helped him buy a house by supporting him, but he's not helping you buy a house by supporting you? Not the asshole, if I'm understanding correctly. How exactly does he think you'd benefit from paying him rent, while you live in your own house? I am sure this logic is fascinating, and I am dying to hear it. Your boyfriend seems to be expecting you to break up at some point and is making plans based on that. I understand that it's good to have a plan for a breakup, but his idea is only good for him. Am I the asshole for encouraging my daughter to bang on the dinner table? Last week my wife, daughter, Lizzie, 3F, and I had dinner with my family. We were there to celebrate my brother's engagement. My parents were hosting the dinner at a restaurant and it was the first time wife and I met my brother's fiancée, Anna, as we don't live near my family. Wife is deaf and wears hearing aids, my family are aware that she's deaf. My parents have learned a few signs so they can interact with her. As she is deaf, we have been teaching Lizzie sign language. When we are in loud environments, wife is often overwhelmed by all the noise and turns off her hearing aids. When this happens, we tell Lizzie in advance and she knows that if she needs her mum's attention to either stamp her feet or bang on the table so that wife can feel the vibrations and know that Lizzie wants her. When we got the restaurant, it was loud so wife told me she was turning off her hearing aids and would just lip read. Brother and Anna hadn't arrived yet, but my parents were there and they apologized for the restaurant being louder than they expected. My parents understand why she turns off her hearing aids and had tried to pick somewhere quiet. When brother and Anna arrived, I told them that wife had turned off her hearing aids. Brother just rolled his eyes while Anna had a slight look of disgust. Anna was sat next to wife at the table. Lizzie was the opposite side of wife. Part way through dinner, Lizzie banged the table next to wife wanting her attention, but as wife was conversing with Anna she didn't respond to Lizzie straight away. So Lizzie banged on the table a second time, and she got wife's attention to be taken to the toilet. While they were gone, Anna snapped at me telling me that we need to teach Lizzie not to be rude. I tried explaining that this is how Lizzie gets her mum's attention when she had turned off her hearing aids and we encourage it, but Anna continued that this was rude and we should parent better. Anna referred to wife as being defective, so I made the decision for us to leave. I apologized to my parents, offered to pay for our meal and picked up our belongings. My parents insisted that Anna apologized but brother agreed that the table banging had been rude. That evening, I got an angry phone call from my brother, with Anna shouting in the background, furious that I had made a scene at the restaurant and left when it was Lizzie banging on the table that had been rude. He also wants me to pay him back for dinner as my parents made him pay for dinner because Anna had been rude and they didn't want to give her the idea that they supported her behavior. They left just after we did. I'm pretty sure that I'm not the asshole as this is normal to me with wife being deaf, but it might look rude to people on the outside. Edit. Lizzie was sat on the end of the table. Wife was to her left and I was to her right. Yes, she could have asked me to take her to the toilet but Lizzie doesn't like going into the men's and prefer to go with her mum. Not the asshole. Don't pay him back and let him know that any time his fiancé decides to try to tell them how to parent their child and insults your wife, the response will be the same. And him, too. Has your brother always been snarky and insulting and dismissive of your wife and her hearing issues? Not the asshole. I can't even believe your brother and his wife even went there to be honest. And to refer to your wife as defective? How shameful of them. But good for you, for sticking up for your wife and your family. You did the right thing. Deaf people are not defective. This one angers me. Not the asshole. Anna criticized the parenting of two perfect strangers, called your wife defective because she's deaf, and is now demanding an apology and brother is demanding money. Nope. I'd sit that wedding out. Not the asshole. Block your brother and her. They're both a piece of work. Not the asshole. I'm confused why you are still speaking to your revolting bigoted brother. Am I the asshole for letting my girlfriend kicking my best friend out of her car? My girlfriend, 32F, had a traumatic childhood with a violently abusive father so she adopted her younger brother, now 20M. When her cousin died, she took in her cousin's kids, 4M and 3F. Their father is also a volatile, scary guy. Her cousin's kids had behavioral issues I have never seen before. 4M is selectively mute and 3F has raging tantrums, and the weirdest triggers. My girlfriend took off the kids' socks for bath time, so she ran and hid under the coffee table, screaming and crying uncontrollably for 4 hours. Turns out 3F does not allow anybody to see her bare feet. The first month was hell. The mute boy was mischievous, and the raging 3-year-old was always shrieking. But my girlfriend had a plan: establish safety and build trust. Her theory was that these kids were acting out because of anxiety and trauma, and they associate grown-ups with pain and fear. Therefore, their behavior would change once they felt safe and protected in their new environment. She implemented rules for grown-ups in her house, and I follow them religiously. They were the same rules she's had since before I met her, but now they're written down on a whiteboard in the kitchen. And it worked. It's been 6 months, and the last tantrum was months ago. Moreover, they finally got in with a trauma therapist who was so impressed with my girlfriend and he validated everything she implemented. I need to make this woman my wife lol. Anyway, my best friend visited for the first time in 8 months. He hates kids. He needed a ride home and my girlfriend was taking all the kids to the park, and offered to drive him. 15 minutes later, he's calling me, screaming about how my girlfriend threw him out on the side of the road. The full story is that the toddlers started to cry, and my friend turned and screamed, "Zip it." So my girlfriend kicked him out a mile away from his house, and went to the park. I told my friend that's fair. Everybody knows my girlfriend does not tolerate shouting. She's trying to show 2 traumatized children that they are safe with her, and you screamed at her kid, while she was doing you a favor and driving you home. If you scared her kid, and she tolerated it and kept driving you, it would show the kids that she tolerates dangerous, short-tempered people. You don't know what it's like taking care of 2 traumatized children with behavior problems, so, respect the rules. But now the entire friend group is against us, saying my girlfriend is raising spoiled woke sissies. That the real world doesn't follow her neat little rules. Gentle parenting doesn't work. Everyone gets yelled at, they have to deal with it. And OFC, Everyone thinks she was crazy and cruel for kicking him out of her car and that I'm a simp, wrapped around her finger. It's not like she left him on the highway. He was a mile from home, and he's fully able-bodied. Stop screaming at my kids and get some exercise. Except now I have no friends, which is making me second-guess myself. I'd scream, zip it. The next time you're with your friend group and when they aren't expecting it and see how quickly they jump. Then point out having that happen as a child with a trauma history. If that doesn't work, I'd get rid of the friends and make her a fiancé. Not the asshole, but you are the asshole if you don't put your friends in line. Not the asshole, your girlfriend is an angel. I hope karma repays her well in life. She's so nice, she even stopped the car to kick out your friend. I wouldn't have stopped. Not the asshole, as a grown-up, 55, now, fighting PTSD because of childhood trauma. I would have given everything for such an adult in my life. And you are pretty awesome too for standing up for her. Not the asshole, your group of friends suck for not understanding the impact of child abuse. Not the asshole times a million. I wish I had people looking out for me like that when I was little. Please tell your girlfriend to keep being wonderful to those little kiddos. And also, marry her ASAP. Y'all clearly needed new friends. The trash tends to take itself out.